I was never the kind of person who paid attention to superstitions, let alone believed in them. But that was until tonight. It was a night etched forever into the fabric of my consciousness, a night when I journeyed into the unknown realms of fear and the supernatural. My train ride home had begun like any other. The rhythmic clattering of the wheels on the tracks seemed almost comforting as I settled into my compartment, the soft hum of the engine lulling me into a sense of security. For the first few hours, I was alone in my compartment, my only companions the dim glow of the overhead lights and the muted sounds of the passengers in neighboring cabins. But as the journey wore on, an uneasiness began to creep over me. The train seemed to pick up speed, and with each passing mile, my heart pounded harder. My stomach tied itself into tighter knots. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. It was then that I started to hear the whispers. At first, they were faint, almost imperceptible, but with each passing moment, they grew more distinct, more menacing. I turned my gaze to the window, and what I saw there sent shivers racing down my spine. Outside, the trees loomed, their branches swaying back and forth with an eerie, unnatural rhythm. It was as though they were trying to communicate, as though they held some sinister secret they were itching to share. I tried to convince myself that it was merely the wind playing tricks on my mind, that I was allowing my imagination to run wild. But the chill that had settled over me refused to dissipate. Then, without warning, a deafening bang shattered the fragile silence. I leaped from my seat, my eyes darting to the window. There, in the shadows, a figure lurked, its shape indistinct, its features hidden in the darkness. Panic surged through me, and I bolted for the opposite end of the train compartment, my heart racing as I went. But the shadowy figure gave chase, its movements fluid, as if it reveled in the game of pursuit. My thoughts raced in tandem with my pounding footsteps. What should I do? How could I escape this relentless pursuer? The train seemed to stretch on forever, its narrow aisles and closed compartments offering no solace. As I continued to flee, a cacophonous screech pierced the air, followed by a resounding crash. The train ground to an abrupt halt, sending me sprawling. I scrambled to my feet, my heart pounding as I peered out the window, desperate to make sense of the chaos that surrounded me. There, framed in the window pane, was the face of an old woman. Her hair, a shock of white, framed a face that bore the weight of centuries, her eyes milky and clouded. She gazed at me with an intensity that seemed to pierce my very soul. I stumbled backward in shock, but to my horror, the old woman materialized inside the train car, as though she were a phantom summoned from the depths of my darkest nightmares. She fixed her gaze upon me, and her voice, a spectral whisper, sent shivers coursing through my body. "You should be never traveled at night," she murmured, her words seeping into my consciousness like venom. I wanted to scream, to flee, but a paralyzing fear held me in place. Suddenly, a cacophony of thumps and screams erupted from the compartments around me. I rushed back to my own cabin, my breaths coming in short, frantic gasps. The old woman had worked her sinister magic, and the other passengers had been transformed into manic, frenzied creatures. She cackled with glee, her bony finger pointed accusingly at me. Tears streamed down my face as I sought refuge under the seat, my world collapsing into chaos. The old woman continued to torment me, her manic laughter echoing in my ears. My name fell from her lips like a curse, and I could do nothing but cower in abject terror. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the torment ceased. The silence enveloped me like a suffocating shroud. Tentatively, I peered out from my hiding place, my eyes scanning the scene. The old woman was gone, and the other passengers lay strewn about the floor, their movements stilled. Was I the sole survivor of this nightmarish journey? Despair welled up within me, overpowering the fear that had gripped me. I knew I had to escape this nightmare, to leave it all behind. Without hesitation, I fled the train station, my gaze fixed firmly ahead, never looking back. The events of that harrowing night would forever haunt my memories, an indelible mark on my soul. The mysterious old woman and the horrors she had unleashed would remain with me, a testament to the unexplainable, the supernatural, and the inexplicable terrors that can lurk in the darkness of night.